So, Shirley days.
Yes.
We were just speaking before, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yes.
One thing that I was talking about with the boys the other day is, if you could would you go back to Shirley? Did you have a good time at Shirley?
I love school. Like, I thought it was so much fun. Like, I feel like more than most people, like, I feel like hearing my siblings, like, reflection of, obviously, I didn't do school when I left, and, like, literally, that was the last time I did education. I did, like, tutoring for, like, a few months and then got into this. But, no, yeah, I love school. But I know it wouldn't be the same because of everyone is obviously adults now. When it's brand new, it's like speaking to strangers, if you will. Like, some people, like, I see it out and about and it's, like, fun. But, no, yeah, I love school. For it was sick.
Like, would you not go back with the person that you were, or knowing what you can get away with? Would you still go back? Because I don't know, were you quite a naughty kid? Because, like, for me, I was quite cheeky, but I never really got detentions.
I feel like one and the same. Like, I wasn't, like, naughty compared to, like, other people, but, like, cheeky was more so the word. But then I don't really think much has changed during that time. Other than adulting. And I feel like now I won't be able to take, like, an adult telling me what to do.
100%. Yeah.
So, like, when people are in, like, sixth form and that, I find it so weird that, like, they're still... Obviously, it's a bit more freedom in college and stuff, but I thought it was weird. So, yeah and no, like...
Yeah. So you didn't go to college or anything like that?
No. I actually decided to... I got into Shirley and Langley, and then I was going to go Shirley, and then last minute...
Oh, you got... What Langley? Langley girls or boys?
Girls.
Oh, okay. It would have been with me.
So then, yeah. So I was going to go, and then I think it was, like, maybe like just a week or so before, one of my cousins at the time said to me, why don't you do like an apprenticeship? And I was always interested in property a bit more than like what I do now. When I was younger, I didn't think it was as like easy to get into, if you will. And I took on this apprenticeship where you had to do school like 2 days a week, and I was working in this office in London. And then the acting fell into place and I quit within like 2 months. And
wow, okay.
Yeah.
Because I did a degree apprenticeship.
Really?
Yeah, so after sixth form, I didn't really want to go to uni. In IT, you don't really have to go to uni. I feel anyway.
Yeah.
So I literally just graduated the other day.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. But one thing I was going to ask is because I know you were into your drama back in the day, in Shirley days. At what point did you realise acting was for you?
That's such a broad question. I feel like since young, like I feel like obviously Mason sings, which is my brother. Yeah. And I feel like from being young, I feel like he was always the one that was like naturally gifted. Obviously, I'm not the best singer. I enjoyed dance in school. No, I enjoyed dance out of school when I was younger, like street dance and that. Then I took it as a GCSE and it was not.
Oh, you did dance? You did dance, drama and...
Yeah, it was shit. No, just dance, drama and media.
And media.
And media comes into a big, like, for what I do now, I feel like media is like a massive thing. I think I've learned most in school, not from media, but like on the job. But, and I feel like in school, I feel like everyone's got this perception that I was like this amazing actor and I like stood out. Like, I never stood out to no one in our classes. Like, it was always like, there was a few people in our class that I feel like they would be the people that you'd think would go on and do it. I think I was never that because I was quite class clowny and like Mr. Willis just didn't really seem to like, I don't know, gravitate. Like, I used to come in and be like, oh, like I got a new agent. He'd be like, okay, like no one really gave a shit. I've never really had like a teacher or anything like that that's been like, so I think that's a weird misconception. I think a lot of people think because I did those subjects that I was like the top and all this and that. And I really wasn't. Like, I was okay, but it got to the stage where I feel like when I did like my first audition and I booked it, I felt like it was kind of a bit easier than it's not an easy industry, but I felt like it was a lot more easier to get into than I thought. Yeah, to kind of go there. So, but I had to work hard because I'm really animated and I talk really fast. So I'd be going to auditions at like 15, 16 and like, okay, that was good. Like slow down. So I wasn't getting the grasp of it. So I feel like I didn't really, I had to learn on the job on most of the things, which is cool.
When it comes to auditions, like, how does it even work? Because obviously I've never been to an audition. Is it, I assume they give you a script beforehand? And is it like, do you do a scene that would be in the movie and then you just rehearse that and then you do it?
Yeah, so it like kind of depends. So I had an audition for something the other day that was like quite big, but they don't tell you because it's quite a big company. Okay. They won't tell you what it's for, what it's about. You'll get given like a random side. It could be boy number one and you just got to kind of hope for the best. But in like a normal TV show or whatever, your agent will submit you. So the way it kind of works is you'll have an agent, you'll try and get an agent, and there's this casting kind of website. It's kind of like, best way I describe it to people that don't really know about acting, it's kind of like the actors sort of cancel. Like all jobs go to this place called Spotlight. So casting directors put jobs up there for actors, and all agencies receive the jobs. So it's like a specific like boy, like white, black, whatever, 18 to 24 for this role in a BBC soap or whatever, right? So obviously your agent submits you, but obviously there's hundreds of agents and hundreds of people that might be suited for the job. Then the casting director will look through their submissions, see who they want to pick out. They might pick out like 80 boys and then bring you in for an audition, and you get the sides before, and you just rehearse and go in and do the audition.
Is it nerve-wracking doing it?
I enjoy the process a lot more now, like so much about what I do enjoy now. But yeah, I think a lot, especially when a lot of the time as you get older, you start to know a lot of the boys there. Or you might see someone that you know from a TV show, or you might get partnered up with someone for like a chemistry read. So a chemistry read would be like 2 actors, and you might be down to like the final few or whatever, and they might put 2 of you together to see if you've got chemistry for the role.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so sometimes it can be really odd in like a casting room, but I feel like I enjoy the process a lot more now than I did.
Yeah. Did you learn a lot from doing these auditions? Like, did you get a lot of rejections?
Yeah, I still get rejection now. Like I could have like 6 auditions a month, and like I don't really think I would have a career if I didn't make my own stuff. And that's not for lack of talent or not like that, but it's not for lack of talent or not for me trying. It's just sometimes you're not right for the role.
Yeah, no, definitely. These 4 Walls, I watched it the other day. Very good short. Is it short film? Yeah. Was that a low budget type of film?
That was just for fun. I mean, it's expensive to do it anyway, but in the industry standard, low budget is like a couple grand to make. But it was just a case of lockdown, and which was fun because I feel like with my first project that I did, there was so much pressure for it to meet certain standards and be really commercial and really pitch it to networks and all that sort of stuff. Whereas with this, I was working on another show and everything got put on pause because of lockdown. Yeah. So I said to one of my friends who was a writer in the writer's room, I said, hey, like, I just really want to make something for fun. And I feel like throughout the years, all my networking and people I've met, like DOPs and editors and actors, I just felt like I had like a good network of people to like create. And I just felt like, because there's no pressure there, we kind of treated it like a play, and it was probably the most fun I've ever had on a shoot. It was just so much fun. It was sick. Yeah,
I mean, I enjoyed it. This may be a silly question though, for myself and who's listening. What's the difference between the producer, the writer, and the director? I assume the writer is the person that writes the scripts. Yeah. The producer is the person that I wouldn't know that bit. And then the director is that the person that does the scenes and stuff.
Yeah, so there's a lot, and this is the thing I feel like I learned so much on Clued Up about behind, because you might get cast and I did a lot of like commercials and stuff, but you don't really know who all these people are. It's just like a circus of a show. And when I did my first film, I kind of learned the crew that I was hiring was like, you need this, you need a second AD, which is like an assistant director, and you need this, you need that. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know. It just feels like unnecessary. And when you're paying for it, it's like different. So directors, obviously, they take the script or whatever they're given and they're directing it. So they'll say, okay, we want to move the lighting here. Actors, can you perform like this or whatever? Okay. Writers, obviously, they write the script or the whatever it is for the, it could be a film, music video. They could, I don't know, like writing is mostly just what it is. Then producing is, so in my sense of what I've done so far is, you know, sometimes it's self-funding. And basically you're almost like the overseer of everything. You're the one that goes to a recce. So a recce would be like viewing a location for the shoot. You'd be the one that would say, we've got this much budget left. They kind of oversee everything and make sure everything runs smoothly. They're often overlooked, but like they probably work the hardest.
Yeah, no, that seems like it's the most work. And I was going to ask, in that film, there's a lot of spooky locations. How the hell did you come up with these locations? Like the one in the with the sofa. Yeah, like that must have been lit, just being able to bring a sofa to a random forest.
Well, this is the thing. I feel like because there was no pressure on that project specifically, I felt like we had the freedom to kind of do what we want. So when I wrote it, I felt really like gassed, and the actors that I worked with is, in a sense, I feel like when everyone was at sixth form and college and all that sort of stuff, I was doing Clued Up. So the cast that I worked with on that was kind of my sixth form, like 2 years, my sixth form college experience. So I was so used to working with a set use of like crew and actors and stuff. So I was really anxious to go in and like work with new people, and like I feel like I'm constantly doing this thing of trying to prove myself. So I've worked with a whole new crew and all these people that I've met within the last year of finishing Clued Up, and it was just kind of like, how wild can we get with it? But obviously when you're paying for it, it's like, I was like, okay, it's gonna be a sofa in the woods. It's lockdown. So we had to go on Gumtree and just like people throwing away sofas. So we had to collect it, but then we got to transport it. So me and one of my mates like got in this van with this random guy that just drove it to the location. We sat outside this forest for ages, just kind of waiting for the crew to show up. So yeah, it's just about research and just kind of getting it down.
Yeah, that's pretty lit. And with those locations, do you need like some sort of permit to get these places, or with that, did you just sort of turn up?
Some places, yeah, some places no. Like I feel like if like let's say for instance in Croydon, if we were filming in like a house or residential street, and you said it was for like a student film or a music video, they'll charge you, but it won't be that much. Whereas
is this the council now, or
yeah, so you like reach out to the council.
Okay.
But then with bigger budgets, if you say it's like Warner Brothers of shooting like Superman, they're not going to charge you the same. It's going to be something industrial. So I've definitely in my time like just shot somewhere and just hope for the best. But I think because it looks very professional, no one really questions it.
Yeah.
Like if it was like a small crew, not many people, and like, you know, you see like rappers film music videos in like car parks and stuff. If it was like that, sometimes it can get shut down. But I feel like in my experience, I've always been quite lucky with like spending like 12 hours a day there and just it being fine. Yeah.
So day in the life of Callan during making these 4 walls.
Yes.
What were you doing? Was it mainly just rehearsing your scripts? Actually, before you answer that, how do you rehearse your scripts? Like, how do you memorize? I'm always memorized how these actors learn their scripts. And, you know, when it's like a 3-hour movie, how the hell?
Yeah, I mean,
are they remembering?
It's weird. I feel like you kind of go like differently depending on what it was. Like Clued Up was my first time writing or anything like that, and a lot of it was like, which was really hard to edit, because of a lot of it wasn't synced because we were always going off script. So it was always like adding, which was fun, but like when you get like one shot that's really good, then the other one that's also really good, but the dialogue doesn't match up, or you're syncing sound or that sort of stuff. It was really, really tricky to edit. So I kind of learned from that. So with these 4 walls, I feel like just about rehearsal. I mean, because I'm the writer and I would act in it too, it's almost like there's a higher expectation for me to know it like the back of my hand. But I just rehearse, and I feel like I take in so much from like other actors now and like their performances. So I kind of like look in the mirror and like read the lines or go through it with a friend or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I used to be the worst at, so now with lockdown and stuff, you get a lot of self-tapes. So you record yourself at home doing an audition for a TV show, movie, whatever, and you send it off to the casting director. If they like you, they might bring you back, whatever. So that's always been a thing, but they've kind of implemented it a lot more since lockdown just because of COVID and stuff. So I've got a mate that was my first film, and when we used to tape for stuff, I never used to like learn. I'd just say, oh, hey, do you want to hang out Saturday? Got a tape, do you want to do it? She was like, yeah, cool, let's go. And I never used to learn anything, and we used to learn it on the day, and she used to get so pissed off because we had to learn like 4 pages of dialogue, and I was like really slow with learning. It wasn't until we had to keep going through it, I kind of got there. But now I'm always like off script and like prepared. I feel like I read it 10 times. I'll read it like a few times just reading it as a paper, a few times trying to act with it, but also still looking at the paper. Then I go off script and then get someone to check, like fact check it to see if it's correct. Then that's kind of how I get into the flow of like memorizing it.
I guess it becomes second nature, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a skill, right?
I mean, I still remember like stuff from like films and that. Like, like the first one, I remember like I saw one of the boys from the film and I was like, you stole money. How do you still remember that? I was like, I don't know. It's just like embedded in me now from all those years.
And then what question did I ask you before that? We were talking about, I've forgotten, Callan.
I don't know. I can get sidetracked quick, bro.
What were we talking about? I asked you about
these 4 walls.
And then I talked to you about rehearsing, and then I said, no, before you answer that. Day in the life. That's
Day in the life.
So when you were recording this, how long did it take, first of all? From the moment you thought of the idea to the end product?
Like a year.
A year.
So I'm one of them people where like I've met so many writers and cool creators and stuff where like, say like a musician, they always write music, they always do stuff. I'm the sort of person that second something comes to my mind, I have to do it straight away. I can't just like, thinking. Okay, like cool, let's leave it. Like I have to get up and do it, right?
Yeah, that's good.
So first few weeks of lockdown, I was like, okay, cool. I had this show that I was doing, which was like my first time actually like selling something that I wrote to a production company that was going somewhere, and that got put on pause, and I got bored and I thought of this idea, thought it was cool, spoke to 2 people about it, and as soon as they're like, yeah, that's cool, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm doing it.
You're gonna do it.
Wrote it, and then just getting more and more people involved and just doing like, but then it's weird because I feel like I'm learned so much from the crew and people I work with on that, because I'm a lot more, let's do it tomorrow, let's get it done, whereas I remember there was a day we went to go view like 7 different woods, not all in one day, but like it got to the stage where like we were in August, it was hot. I brought my mate along with me. I was like it's all kind of the same, but then it makes such a difference if you like care about like location hunting and the people that dress the set, and details that might not seem that important are super important to add to the end product. Whereas I was a bit of a brat where I was like we can pick anywhere, like we could go local, like where do you guys want to go? And oh, but this tree here is different. I was like, oh my god, like it's all like woods, but it does make a difference.
Yeah. So what was your normal day like when you were filming? Were you filming 7 days a week?
No, that was only
long hours.
That was only 5 or 6 days.
Okay.
The long hours that we stayed. So we did. The first day was in Croydon, so we filmed by my local fish and chip shops. We got to ask them; they let us film there.
Whereabouts?
Bywood.
Yeah. There's a corner shop there, right?
Yeah, Tesco Express. It's like a fish and chip shop. So I knew them and asked them politely, but yeah, that's fine. Like, come in before the shop opens. We can film there. So we filmed there. We filmed in my mate's house, and he's got quite a big house for the actress Gary's scenes with her mum for the day, and then we were in the woods for location, which was sick. It was fun. I got ill that day, but it was like really fun. And then we went to Minster-on-Sea, which is outside of London. It's like this like forgotten seaside town. I mean, like I got a caravan on Airbnb, but I think like the funnest thing is when you meet so many new people and you're like away from home. To me, I'm such a neek where like I get gas. It's almost like a school trip. Like I feel like most of us stayed down there, stayed in the caravan. It was just kind of exciting to be not in London. You didn't really know what day it was. It just felt like such a fun experience. And when it got to the last day, everyone was like, oh my God, like I don't want it to be over. Because no one was working. Like a lot of like the industry that people, like the camera guys and sound and stuff were working on Top Boy before, and all these massive jobs that got put on pause. And then they came down to this like, you know, short film that's kind of like a play, but everyone was just so excited to be there. So it was a really cool experience.
Was it challenging during the COVID time in regards to whether certain things that you wanted to do that got locked off, or was it quite smooth with COVID?
It was easy because of the team that I worked with was great. I think when I did Clued Up, it really was me, myself and I, and like every decision was on me as much as These Four Walls was. But with These Four Walls, because I had such a good team of people around me that I trusted, they kind of like took off a lot of pressure off me. Isabella, who I work with quite a lot, she directed it, and she took so much pressure off me. She said, I just want you to focus on your acting and your performance and what you do. So I really did enjoy myself. Whereas with Clued Up, there was times where I see the cast going off and having fun, and I'd be like, oh damn, like I've got to deal with this like lighting setup with these guys. And so they were really supportive. And I think it's really hard that if you're doing like creating something yourself and you want to act, you want to write it, you're producing it, and you want to like, you can't do it all unless you've got a good team around you, otherwise it's a bit of a mess.
Definitely.
But I think the hardest challenging thing was there's a scene, spoiler alert, when I tried to kill myself kind of towards the end at the seaside.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you on that, because you dash the vodka bottle, you throw the spliff or whatever it is, and then the next scene is the mum's crying and you come back from hospital.
It was a lot different the way we were supposed to be. Like, we're supposed to have like this whole, I was so excited, even now it's a bit upsetting, but we had this whole wetsuit thing that was going to go out to sea with me, and like this whole like thing, which was really beautiful. And it's like kind of the main theme of the film. There's a lot of like my character looks up to the sky a lot. It's in the poster. And it was really exciting. That was probably the scene that everyone was so excited to film, and it was so cold. I got like violently ill like on the second day. I think it was from being outside, and I smoked so much through the character. Like, you'd smoke a cigarette, then they would cut, and then you'd have to smoke another one to get to the same
cigarettes.
Real cigarettes, yeah. At first I was like, oh yeah, it's a creative choice, I don't mind. But then after a while you get such a headache, and I didn't realise wearing like a vest and just a jacket, I just got like violently ill. And then on the last day, everything ran really smoothly. We wrapped up in the caravan. Everyone was gasping, okay, last scene of the day. Like, we ordered pizza. The whole crew went down to the beach. It was like 20 minutes away from where we were. And I had to lock up and wait for the Airbnb lady to come back, because it had to be me. So we waited, and then it was a mad rush because we had to get the sunset done. And then everyone was on the beach like saying, like, where's Callan? Hurry up, let's go. And realistically, someone else should have gone. Then they called me and they were like, oh, like, we don't think we're going to be able to film this today because the tide's out or something like that. And I was like, no, we can. And I got there, me and Michael, one of the producers that helped me with the film. We got there, like literally pulled up. I literally like stripped. I put on 2 wrong outfits when we pulled up because I didn't know what the scene was. It was so hectic. So I literally was like stripping off and like it was so hectic. And to film it, and they said no, like it's really like proper quicksandy, like there's dangers to go out there. And then Isabella, who directed it, said that we're gonna have to do another day. And I was like, are you gonna pay $4,000 for another day? Because I'm not. So and it's a lot to get everyone back out to Minster. It wasn't even in London to go out again to go film one scene. So we made it work, but we literally only had 3 takes, which I was scared about because of I had to like my biggest scene in the whole film, and I've only got 3 kind of attempts because the sun was literally going down quick. And then there was these young kids that were on set, not young kids, that's rude, like young, like they were teenagers, and they were like, you know, helping out, like runners on the shoot. And they had to go to the shop to get the props, and they got a vodka bottle, but they didn't empty it with vodka. So the first take of me drinking the drink,
I was going to say, was that water in there?
No, it was supposed to be water in it, but like it was vodka in it. So I'm doing it, and I'm literally like gagging between it. They're like, "Okay, cool, you good?" But then when I walked out to the sea, obviously I wanted to get it done. I was like, I don't mind, like if I die halfway through, like let's get it done. Then when I'm walking out further and further from getting, I'm realizing it's like coming up to my knees, and I really can't move, sort of thing. I'm waiting to hit cut, but I'm still trying to go for it, and I'm starting to touch the water, but I'm bare far out. And then they're like, okay, cool, cut, let's go for one more, and you've got to run, and it was just mad intense. I fell in a swamp after that.
Oh god,
it was peak.
Was there a lot of takes during these 4 wars? Or were you quite smooth with it all?
Smooth. I think everything was. I think the first day we ran behind a little bit, but I didn't have anything to film. I had a chip shop scene the first day, and that was it. The rest of it was all Grace's stuff, so I got to sit back and be a bit of a kid on set and just kind of like enjoy it. But then we ran behind, and so many people lived like not in South, and then that's when I kind of, because I let everyone do their thing, and I kind of let Isabella and the team kind of do what they wanted to do with the film on the first day. But then I had to pull everyone aside and say, look, like, and because everyone's perfectionist and everyone wants to do a good job, but it's like 11 o'clock. Claire, the mum, lives so far away. Grace lives so far away. We're up at like 6 tomorrow. Like, you've got to be on time. Like, we can't keep letting it run behind. And you hire a first AD. So first AD is assistant to the director, this guy called Cashman. And his job is kind of to watch after the time. And like, I mean, a lot of people he's great. I love him. And everyone loved him. But a lot of ADs come across like quite like, no one really likes them because they're kind of like the adult that's always saying, time guys, come on, they can seem quite rude when they're not. It's just their job. And then I kind of said to him, like, look, like, we've got to be on time. Like, I'm not paying for something that's going to be like half finished, and I can't afford to do more days than what we're doing. So after that, I think everyone just kind of like went home a bit deflated, but like we like came back and crushed it. The rest of the days, it was sick.
So were people traveling in?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And obviously it's like, because it's like out of my pocket, it's like who can hop in whose car, and you kind of save the expense. Okay, you need to get a cab. Okay, you need to get a cab, so we'll jump in.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's a bit of a Jippo way of filming, but like.
So like, in regards to you came out of your pocket, does that mean you paid for everything?
Yeah.
That you paid for the caravan?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gee. I mean, I'm not going to ask how much it was, but I can imagine it'd be quite expensive.
Yeah, but then I got good deals with some stuff through like knowing people, but like Clued Up was probably like 10 times more expensive because it was my first time. I didn't know anything about anything, and like people fucked me over, and it was like this whole, I feel like Clued Up was the best sort of boot camp for like the industry I was about to get into when it comes down to like being a boss and directing people and relationships with your fellow actors and media and contracts. And I feel like for such a long time I looked at that project and saw it as such a bad thing just because of so much that went on during that time. It was obviously over the space of 2 years. But I wouldn't change it just because I learned so much. And yeah, just about how everything works and myself, and yeah. But so it was a stressful one, but like it was good.
What would you say during Clued Up? What was your biggest lesson that you learned moving forward, knowing what you know now? If you were to go back and do it again, what things would you change? Or just necessarily, what thing have you learned in general? Yeah,
I mean, there was things that like I used to be like, oh, change this, I change that. There was like so much hoo-ha that I was getting like about Clued Up. I don't even know where to start. I think my main thing was just clarity with people. I think like the crew were like awful in that. Like there were young guys, I kind of found them online, and then I think the second they kind of saw that it's not really normal for like a 16, 17-year-old to be paying like grand upon grand for, and obviously we filmed it over space of time. It wasn't like I had the money. I was still working. My mum and dad made sure I was still working, but it was like when they kind of realized they could bump up prices, when we do reshoots and stuff, it'd go from like £300 a day to like 700. It was just like so much drama, and then they lost footage, and we had to call the police, and all this sort of like dramas about it. And then that was just the start of it. And then I tried to pitch it to someone. I met this producer, which a lot of people have had horror stories from him, and he like basically like took all the money that we earned from the film. So yeah, but then there was a big lesson after that, which is great, that I learned. So in a nutshell, should we dive into Clued Up?
Yeah, we can.
So in a nutshell, so left school, was doing, apprenticeship, and then I found an agent, and they just kind of put me in their books. I was like, okay, let's see how it goes. And then my first audition was for an Anthony Joshua advert, and all the boys there were all very much like, I've been in Casualty, and I was just like, oh shit, I'm just from Croydon. This is just... So I kind of had the mindset of like just giving my all. Like if I look like an idiot, like just go for it, and we'll see how it goes. It's like a workshop, and it was my first audition like for a long time since being young. And it was like a workshop where they had a bunch of like boys put in a group. They had a bunch of adults like playing policemen, put you in a room together, give you a scenario. It lasts for about 3 minutes, and then I remember really, really going for it, and like getting all up in the police officer's face, and then everyone was kind of following pursuit after me. And then we had to do one more like situation, and then I just thought, okay, I probably didn't get it like an idiot, but cool. And then we were about to leave, and then they had like loads of names circled on like their clipboard, and mine was like crossed out in red, and so was another boy. And then I was like, okay, cool. I could see because I was standing next to the casting director, and they all sat on like a row of stuff. I was like, cool, I didn't get it, but like I had fun, like whatever. And then they're like, okay, cool, blah, 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 you can go home. Callan and so-and-so, like, can you stay behind to go do the running? Because it was like a parkour, you had to climb up this estate. I was like, oh, shit, okay, cool, like whatever. And then,
so you thought you had
I didn't think I'd got it at all. And then, so I was gassed. I was like, oh my God, I stood out. I was like, sick. Even though it was probably really bad. Like, if I could watch it back now, it's probably awful. But, and then we went outside. They had like a track camera thing that they did, and you had to like show that you could run basically. You ran, and then that was it, and you went home. And then my agent, who wasn't the best at the time, kind of like, which is kind of an agent's job. She kind of was like, oh, you didn't get it, like straight away. It was like, and then I heard back like 3 or 4 weeks later, and she kind of sounded like she didn't sound happy for me. It was kind of weird. And she's like, oh yeah, by the way, you booked the Lucas A thing for Anthony Joshua. And I was like, what? Like, I was
so you got it?
Yeah, I got it. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, like what?
Yeah.
So I was gassed, and then so I got it, and I was just like, wow, like, and that was kind of the start of like doing commercials and things like that. And yeah, so we did that, and then then I was signed to a new agency. Then the guy said to me, he was like, hey, like, you've done a lot of commercials and things like that. Why don't you do like a short film for a show reel? So when your agent submits you for a job, they will to casting directors for whatever they're posting. You'll be able to see your photo, which is like your headshot, your CV, which is the jobs you've done, and then you'll have a show reel, which is like a video clip of like maybe like 3 or 4 minutes of your acting abilities, what you can do. So it might be from different things, but I didn't really have one because I was just doing commercials all the time, which isn't speaking or anything like that. So he said to me, he's like, why don't you just do like a short film with your friends? And I was like, and he made it sound really like crap. And I was like, okay, like, no, like whatever, like sounds like shit. Like it just didn't sound good. I thought it was like shoot something on your iPhone. It just sounded like a bad idea. And then I was going home and my phone died, and I kept thinking about it. And I was like, oh, because I could do this and I could do that. And then I went to Tesco. I was Elmer's End. I went to Tesco. I just literally bought like a notepad and pen and wrote down everything that was in my head. I was like a school-based sort of Waterloo Road, Top Boy sort of vibe. And I just wrote it all down, and then I slept on it. And then the next day it was just still in my head, and I was like, no, I'm going to do this. And I started researching about like, I think it took off within like 3 weeks of me like thinking of it. And I like wrote it. And then it was my first time like even writing a script or anything like that. So that was that. And that was all just kind of, it wasn't, but then I didn't want it to be a show reel. I wanted it to be a film. I wanted to create something and do, like, I'm an all or nothing sort of person. So, so that's how Clued Up was kind of born. And then I remember I auditioned for Casualty, and then this other boy got it, and I saw his episode, and I was like, oh, he's really good, like, he's great. And then I found him on Twitter, and then I just DM'd him. I was like, hey, like, I think you'd be great for this thing. I'd like to meet up with you. So we met up. And then kind of, I felt like as soon as I met up with him, it was kind of like, okay, now I have to do this 'cause this is like a stranger. And then just started casting people, and then went from there, really.
What's the process in regards to like when you vet people that basically vet the actors and actresses?
I mean,
did you make that decision, or was it your agent? Yeah.
So my agent wasn't really involved, and I think at that age, I was really anxious to be like, sound like a corny bastard and be like, well, I wrote it, I produced it, I directed it, and it's just, I edited it. Like, it just, I was really nervous of that title. So the clued up way of things is not the way to really do things, and I've learned so much from that. But like, back then I was kind of putting a lot of stuff and giving a lot of credit almost to my agent at the time, because I didn't want to be embarrassed, because of all these kids were like the same age as me, most of them, and I felt awkward to kind of be the boss and do stuff. I was like, I'll find out from my agent, even though it was me that was like going to, like, he wasn't involved in it. It was all myself, and I didn't give myself that credit for like a really long time, doing the film. So, I mean, even people from school, I think a lot of people thought I got cast in something and the backstory. But even then, I'd just be like, oh yeah, like, because I felt like it just sounds so like up your own ass about like.
No, not at all.
I mean, now I'm like, I'll take credit for it. How much work I do, but like, I think then I was so self-conscious of not sounding like an airhead, and just being like annoying with it. But no, you shouldn't care what other people think. If you've produced a film at the age of 16, 17, you should be proud of that. No, I'm really proud of it now. Like, I think like I kind of take a lot more, because I think the thing is, I only really wanted to do it because of I wanted to act so much more, and I knew I had so much more to offer. And I think Clued Up was the best sort of like foundation for me to kind of work on myself as an actor, because of I would do a scene with like Joel, the guy in the film, and he'd be really good at a certain type of scene, and I'd be like, oh, like mine was bad, and I could tell when I look stressed. Like, we might do like a scene and like a casual scene of just us walking and talking, and because there's like loads of extras, there's only small crew, it's like time and stuff, I can see just by the way I'm like talking and stuff, it sounds like it's not the best. So I kind of had to like take a step back, and then I remember I took a step back and I was like, okay, cool, we took Christmas off, and then I watched all the footage that we had so far, and I was like happy with it, but like I just felt like my performance personally wasn't that great, and I was like, what's the point of me making all of this, and I wanted to be an actor, and you're gonna watch it and be like, oh well, he's great, but like he's fucking shit, like sort of thing. So we kind of like not scrapped it, but we reshot a lot of the film in the new year. But then one of the girls' mum passed away just before we were supposed to start reshooting. Then my dad passed away, and then we went straight back to filming like 4 days later, and just kind of kept on with it. On the topic of your dad passing, sorry to hear that, by the way. I don't know why I'm smiling. It's not funny. It's always awkward. How did you deal with, or a more of a broader question, how do you sort of moving away from sort of the recording type of stuff, how do you deal with stuff like that, like death? Are you one, because I was asking my friend the other day, and she said she just distanced herself from people. Are you one to distance yourself, or you just, it is what it is, it's life, just move on with it sort of thing? Especially, sorry, when you were recording, like, these 4 walls. I mean, it's odd, because I feel like with my dad's situation and stuff, I felt like I kind of had to like crack on like with it, and like not crack on with it because it was a really like tough time, but like kind of felt like I kind of had to just like crack on like with what we were doing, and because if I didn't do it, no one else would. So we were back to filming. I think it was like 5 or 6 days later, and it had a bit more purpose and oomph because we're doing it now for him, which was cool. And then my agent took me to the National Film Awards, and it's all these like great things. And I was still working at the time, and I felt like it was just go to make sure everything was perfect. And I feel like I kind of like not sacrificed a lot for that film, but I feel like all the things that most kids like our age at the time were doing, like The Lad's Holiday in the Summer, I wasn't doing because I was paying for a film. I was editing all the time. I was like doing so many things that I think people wouldn't see. Like when I was working, it's like you're getting paid like $1,000 and whatever. All of that money was going towards the film. It wasn't like a penny left. I was constantly broke because I was putting it all into the film. And then when it then comes down to press and stuff, and you get your PR on board, and they have like a press pack, they put in the press pack, it's about teens, whatever, and how can you sell the film, right? So what makes this different? What makes it stand out? Because of all the actors are a bunch of nobodies. It's makes it stand out. So part of the selling point would be obviously my dad's death. He's a young boy, he's black, and that's how they pitch it to news channels and papers and things like that, and it works. But then when you're doing like a press day and you're doing like, let's say like 15 interviews or so back to back, and you're getting asked like, oh, how, like, is that? And I'm quite like a happy-go-lucky, you like get on with the person and whatever. But I remember it just kind of took a toll on me towards the end, and I think just before the premiere, I remember I called my mum. I was doing like a news channel interview, and they give you like a little in-ear to count down and stuff. And I used to think when I was younger, till then, when people used to talk about like panic attacks and I'm stressed or I used to never believe in it. I used to be like, it's just girls just talking crap. Then I did this, and it was just back to back like press for the film, constantly trying to promote it. Like if you saw my Instagram at the time, it would be like, hey, what's up, it's Callan? The film's out in like 2 weeks. So it was always that, and it was always that sort of vibe. And then I did like an interview with London Live, and they gave me like a in-ear thing, and they were like counting down on my PA. I was like, say this, say that, and they're gonna ask you. I think it was something about like knife crime in London, because obviously the film had like knife crime in, and I felt like the pressure of that. And I remember Shade Borough posted the film, we were getting loads of negative comments, and I felt like I had like a steady mind throughout the whole thing, and we were quite positive. And then that in the interview, I remember I just like broke down, I was like crying, and I called my mom, and I was like, just before it, literally like 5 minutes before, I was like I can't do it, I feel like I can't breathe, just being a little dramatic. It was a panic attack. And then you go live, and it's, hey, we're here with Callan. Like, yeah. And it was cool. And I remember my mum said to me, she was like, I'm just going to pull the plug on it. Like, you can just, like, you don't have to do it. Like, you don't have to have the premiere next week. You don't have to do it. It's only for you. And I'm happy I did kind of see that through. But then part of that anxiety also kind of crept up on me, I'd say a little bit in 2021 before These Four Walls. I mean, Clued Up was a lot more commercial, where we'd like promote it like selling our souls to promote it everywhere you can think of. Whereas These Four Walls is like an acquired taste in an audience. I know loads of people that wouldn't give a shit about it or wouldn't care, because it's quite a simple piece. It's kind of like a play, in my opinion. Whereas Clued Up was what people want to watch. It's very kids drama. You know, anyone can watch it. So I felt a bit anxious when releasing These Four Walls. I was like, am I going to feel anxious like that again? Like whatever. And I think for me, like mentally and mental health and stuff, I feel like when lockdown hit, I kind of felt like I was in like a really good place, even though I know loads of people were obviously like suffering.
Yeah, no, literally.
But my head felt clear, just because of like, I felt like I kind of come to terms with the last few years. I kind of come to terms with what happened to my dad, because of it crept up on me during that press sort of time after, even though I didn't really go crazy when it did happen. And then you don't put yourself in that mind frame of comparing yourself to other people, because no one was doing anything. So I just kind of felt like I had felt a lot more clear.
So you would say, because that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. During COVID, did that, because obviously, like you said, there's a lot of people that went the other way. But for me, COVID was a blessing for me in regards to business and where I am now. So you would say that COVID was a blessing for you, in the sense that you were able to really sit down, get to know yourself a bit better, because a lot of people don't. You know, you're stuck in your bedroom or whatever. You're not going to work, so you're really kind of bored in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, gyms were closed. I don't know about you, but when I don't go to the gym,
I put on weight and like I didn't go gym, but it was fun. It felt connecting. You know what it is as well? Is I think most people that know me, maybe from school and stuff, I'm such like a people's person and people pleaser to some degree, of just like all the time. And I felt like throughout life, and I think, I mean, everyone goes through stuff that you won't know about, and goes to myself, and some things you just don't go through. But I felt like it was like constantly one thing after another, just in life, with like family and personal stuff. And then I think a lot of people pinpoint it down to my dad's death, my nan's recently, when it's been a build up of stuff. And I felt like finally I wasn't having to, not wearing masks, that sounds so like fucking cheesy, but like I felt like it didn't, like I no longer had to like smile in people's faces, because my industry is kissing ass, and I've not gone the typical route about it. Most kids that want to be actors either go Brit and they go drama school afterwards, or they sign to an agency, whereas I was making this stuff and meeting with like commissioners and stuff, and like going out for pointless meetings all the time, and having to constantly be at my 100, because I want to sell them me as a person and the film. So I kind of felt a sense of relief, where I wasn't putting on, not saying I'm putting on a show, but like putting on a show of this happy, smiley, you're funny, you're young, you're like so much of that. It just felt like everything was like really peaceful, which was nice for me. I feel like
it is a struggle, to be fair, because you just don't know what's going behind closed doors with anyone. And being able to put a smile on your face is not always a benefit to yourself, because especially if you're one that hides it, there's going to be one day where you're just going to crack, like you said before the premiere. Is that because you were holding everything in and you weren't really talking to anyone about it, and it just overwhelmed you?
I think it was just because it was so intense and there was a lot to be doing. It's not like a normal. Like I remember saying to my mum and to the cast, I said, I don't know how like these Marvel actors do these press tours in like Japan, LA, like London, because it sounds like lazy because you're just sitting in a chair all day and
traveling. No,
yeah, not really travel. Obviously, we were just in London for hours, but like you're sitting in a chair talking with yourself all day. Like if you're a little narcissist actor, like it's your dream, right?
Yeah, literally.
And I can't lie, I feel like when I started Clued Up, as much as I love obviously love acting and love writing and producing and stuff, but I also love that side of things. I want to get dressed up. I want to talk to people about the hard work we've done and what we've worked on. I was excited to do press, and I still do like doing press, and I still do like talking to people and meeting new people.
Yeah.
And but I think the press tour for Clued Up was a lot different to these for Walls in that respect. But I don't even know where I was going with the point. I don't even know what the question was. But
it's all right. I was asking about, I've even forgotten myself, your anxiety and you holding in all your emotions. Is that the reason why? Because you didn't express it to anyone, like your mom or your siblings?
It was just bare hectic. Like there was so much going on. I felt like it was like constantly like go, go, go. It was like this day, and you had to approve things. And because it was like only really like a team of me, a PR lady, this producer that was shit, but that fucked me over. And then I didn't really have time to be like thing because there was so much to do. Like even on the day of the premiere, me and Joelle both had an audition for Bulletproof, so we went to London and like had our suits like in a bag and did the audition. Then we got to go, but the premiere was sick. That was like a really like I feel like it was one of the best like nights of my life. Like I feel like Prom was also one of a good night of my life. Like I rate
Prom.
Everyone says it was shit. I had such a good time. I had such a good time.
Do I even remember it? Nah.
I had such a good time. Other than my car being late, and like me, Taylor, and Michelle got there late.
That's the thing. Like Miss Lewis that day, I remember, no one saw anyone because everyone went inside.
Yeah.
You know, if you came in a Lambo or Ferrari
no one would care.
or whatever the hell you came in, you would not have seen it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we waited on the car service, but I felt like with Prom for me, I feel like I felt like I was 15 for like 6 years, bro. But like I was a late one. Like every time I was meeting people, and like I felt like that age in Shirley. Like I remember I went clubbing on the night of my maths GCSE.
Oh my god, Callan.
That was the first time I ever went clubbing, and I was like felt rough the next day. But so I felt like with Prom, it was the first time my mum kind of was starting to see I was growing up. Mason's really well behaved and wasn't doing any of that like my age. Me, I was obviously a kid, so I was kind of like the first child to like explore like you know that avenue. And I remember just being excited because of like we planned the after party at Lola's, even though she didn't go to Prom. And I remember like everyone getting their trims and no one wants to show each other what they're wearing. And I felt like I literally was just like running around Prom, like saying hi to people, getting photos, dancing. We went to Lola's afterwards. Everyone was like drinking. It was like a funny night. And like I still to this day, I think it's one of the best like school memories I've got. I had so much fun at Prom.
I don't know.
But I know it wasn't necessarily what Prom was, but I think it was just the people.
Yeah. Because I just remember Prom. I don't know if you remember, but all the man them like George, James, all of them guys were watching the football in the corner. I don't know if you remember.
Really?
Yeah, man, I remember. They were just there sitting watching the football. I don't know who was playing, but I just remember it not being that great, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I feel like I have such a different record, like mixture of it. I feel like if I speak to like the black lot, I don't know, maybe they thought it was shit too.
I think they were I'm pretty sure them man were watching the football with them.
Or maybe, but I remember like, I still talk about it to this day when I meet people. I was like, no, my Prom was lit. And everyone's like, mine was shit. I had a great time at Prom. Like, I remember I got served for a bottle of Ciroc in Addiscombe.
Oh, nice.
And me and Lola were gassed. We were like, oh my God, we got Ciroc. Like, so no, I thought Prom was sick. I had a great time.
Yeah. Speaking of alcohol, what's your go-to drink?
I'm like a 15-year-old still vodka.
I can't do that, man.
I don't like explore much because I feel like I'm quite a heavyweight. When I see like people get like cocktails or whatever it is, like, every time I have them, it doesn't really do much to me.
You know what? You'll be surprised. Cocktails.
No, I know they do because of like I've like had them, but like I feel like my go-to is always going to be like if I'm looking to turn up, it's always going to be some sort of vodka. If it's like a chinwag, it's like a chat with someone, catch up. It might be like a white wine. I feel like lockdown got me into like a white wine, which is weird.
You're aging.
But like, I'll drink anything. Like, I'm a little
tequila.
Tramp. Yeah, anything. Like,
tequila's my go-to. To be fair.
Like, I remember on my birthday, my 21st, I hired out this place, and it was called Forge in London, and they had like I paid like, I don't know, it was like $1,000 or something. My mum said that's a bit much. I was like, that's my 21st. Like, whatever, I don't care. And then they had like a bar tab that you get your deposit back if you reach a certain amount. But that was in 2021, and still, a lot of people were still kind of skeptical about going out, even though lockdown was kind of over. And everyone was like, "Oh, do you want to drink? It's your birthday." And not because I wanted to drink, because I was already drunk, but I was accepting every drink. Like, I was like, yeah, go on then, like doing shots. And then I felt I could feel myself being sick. So I was throwing them over my shoulder. And then I remember, like, I was just getting drinks. I was like, this bar tab needs to be hit, but I need to have a good time. And then I remember, like, I ran to the bathroom because I did, like, vodka, then I had a wine, then I had to keep, like, mixing everything. And so I was like, do you want this red wine? I was like, yeah, go on. Like fucked. And then I remember I ran to the bathroom. I was, like, sick through my hands. And then I felt better. I felt, like, more clear-headed. Then Taya and Tay and Katie and like, who else was there? Taya, Kate. I don't know. Everyone came up. The girls came up to me and they were like, Callan, like, someone's been sick outside the bathroom. I was like, that's disgusting. Like, whoever did that is like tramp. Like, honestly, we're in this nice place and like tramps. Like, honestly, like kids from Croydon, messy. Yeah, but it was me.
And it was you?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, that's number one, kids. Don't mix your drinks like Callan, just because.
I've learned my lesson.
I've got one of my friends that mixes drinks and he's always on the toilet. It's hilarious.
I'm like, the thing is, I get carried away where I think I'm like a heavyweight, and then, which I am a heavyweight, but then I'll get carried away, and then I get to that stage where I'm like, oh no, like I wish I could go back in time. I'm sick often, like when I'm drinking. Like, I had a barbecue in the first lockdown and had like 30 people around, and I just was mixing drinks, and then the end of the night was just me at the back door with my mum. And very well, I'm like, what, like 19 now? It's so embarrassing. And she's like, okay, it's all right. And I'm like dead on the floor like a 14-year-old girl, but
the parties, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. The parties back in the Shirley days. Listen, my parents would not allow me to do that. How the hell did you get away with hosting those parties? And how was it after? Because obviously I assume the house got trashed, or were people quite respectful?
Because most of the time it was in the garden, so it wasn't actually that bad. Halloween, did you come to Halloween?
I don't think so. I remember I wasn't allowed, because did you do one in year 7?
I think I started in year 8. My parents divorced when I was in year 8, going into year 9. Then that's kind of where
I think it was year 8. I wasn't allowed to go to it. My dad just didn't allow me. And then year 9 was the one that I went to. But I would never.
I feel like they just like progressively got not worse, but like in a good way. But like when you're younger, when it's like year 9, year 8, it's kind of like we didn't drink alcohol. Well, I didn't anyway. And it's like dancing. It's fun. It was like vibing, and you kind of people are nervous to speak to people you don't talk to or whatever. And then you get to like year 10 and you start to know other schools. You start to invite other people, but not too many. Then year 11 was the like grand finale of... No, it wasn't, because I did one in 2017 too, like Clued Up time too. And that went tits up. Like, I remember I booked like an Airbnb, and then I had to be 18 and I wasn't. And then the lady wouldn't let me. So everyone was heading to London. I had to cancel it and say, go back to mine. And I had a shit time. But my mum surprisingly let me have one in lockdown for my birthday. 2020, I had a really good party. It was fun. Cause I did like 2 barbecues, and it was only like 30 people, but I feel like everyone kind of spoke to each other on like house party and all that sort of stuff. It was fun, but I don't think I'll be throwing a party anytime soon.
Hey, listen, if and when you get your nice film, whatever you get into, then
I mean, maybe some after parties that I'll be having.
Listen.
Premieres maybe, but not for my own self. But no, they were fun. I think the worst one was when. Because when I left school, I became such a little brat, and like I was doing like naughty shit. And anyway, that's besides the point. But I turned into like a like naughty boy. Like not like cheeky, naughty. Like I was doing stupid shit. And then because I had a lot of older friends that I started meeting outside of school and all this stuff and just bullshit. And then my mum was going out for Halloween with her cousins and my second cousins. And I remember saying, so I used to do like little link ups here and there, which my mum didn't mind. It was always like 30 people. It's like the Black Lot. We do like games and like quite frequently, and she didn't mind that. And I remember I said to her, I was like, oh, it's just like a little gathering. That was it. It was a gathering. That's what it's called. Gathering. It's just the Black Lot. It's just like nothing from school. She's like, okay. And obviously I invited like everyone that I ever knew, like any girl that I was talking to. I was like bringing them there every like school. And I got so drunk, and I remember like I was wearing this stupid fucking red. I don't know what they're called, like red suit thing. And then, my mum came home and like went like berserk and kicked everyone out.
Oh my God.
She grabbed up some of the Cloma girls. I remember I got into an argument with my mum, and I was like drunk, and then it was just a mess. And that was when I was like on like that was my lockdown.
Yeah. They were the good days though, man.
Yeah. So.
I'm just aware of the time. I think we've got 5 minutes left. Goals. Where does Callan see himself in the next year?
next year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really want to ask that generic question of, where does Callan see himself in 10 years? It's not like a HR interview, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, we know you're going to be successful.
I think so.
Yeah, no, you will. You're working hard. You know, you've been working hard since the age of 16, or even less than that. You know, you've got three films.
I've got more stuff coming out, but 2 films.
Yeah, so, you know, you've been working on your craft, and, you know, all I can say is keep doing that, because hard work pays off. So, but
hard work beats talent when the talent don't work hard enough.
Yep, that is definitely true.
Comparison is limitation versus possibility.
Yeah.
They're the 2 key things that I feel like I've learned.
I was literally, another one of my questions, and one of them I ask all my guests is, what is sort of one quote that you kind of live by when you're feeling down, when you're not feeling motivated? What is that quote that you can tell the people that works for you? Obviously, every quote is going to be different to everyone.
I do, and the thing is, people that like know me quite well will be like, "Oh, shut the fuck up," because I say this all the time. And when I'm giving like advice or whatever, I always say this, but I genuinely do believe hard work beats talent when the talent don't work hard enough. That being is I feel like this day and age, just everything's so accessible, right? So you want to become a musician, you record a song, you can release it, great. You could be Beyonce, you could be Jay-Z, like of talent wise, but if you're not putting in so much work that goes into other stuff in terms of like a business mindset, like you're just going to be another person that's trying to do it, sort of thing, which is great because of, in a sense, I think, because everything is accessible, it gives me the opportunities and everyone the opportunities to pursue what they want, but it just makes the game a lot harder because there's so many people out there that are doing it. And I know so many people that are extremely talented, like a lot more than myself, like at writing, at like acting, and people that I know, but I know that I just go a million miles an hour, and that's not me bigging myself up because I know there's people that work harder than me, and I can't. Do you know what I mean? But I think that if you got the mindset of, if you want to wake up one day and you want to own a garden center, like go like own a garden center and build that and work towards that. And I think that's kind of where my mind is. Like, I was never the best actor ever. Like, I spoke really fast and really animated in how I talk. Even with writing, I didn't really pay attention in English, and I had to learn so much in like writers' rooms for shows and stuff. But I wanted to be good at it, and I really wanted to practice, and I did all the work to kind of get there. And I feel like I'm like good, like okay. I mean, a lot of people say that I put myself down more than I need to, because I'm like, oh, but I need to get here and I need to work on this, and I don't really feel like I give myself props, because I feel like if you stop to be like, oh yeah, I'm great, I'm you just become a dickhead. There's always room for improvement. And
literally, and that's kind of what the whole podcast is about. Is I personally, you may think otherwise, I don't think you can ever reach true satisfaction in life. No. You always want, whether that be more money, a bigger film, bigger house, bigger muscles, whatever it is. And it's a good point that you made there, because talent, for me, can only get you so far. It's what you do once you've peaked at your talent is what takes you over the edge, I would say. Yeah,
it could be anything. I just feel like in most things, it's just about, I don't want one of them guys that are like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, and that's jarring. Or like, why you were sitting down, like I was doing stuff. Like, I hate them sort of people. But I do genuinely believe like the proof is in the pudding. Like sometimes when I feel down and hard on myself, and then like I take a step back and think about not necessarily the things that matter to most people, it might be like a film. It's the people that I've met, like a casting director. I'm like, oh my God, like that casting director does Star Wars, and they've had me back twice, and that's like a big achievement for me. I'm doing something right. But like that's not the sort of thing that most people would look at. So I just feel like hard work is just the main key thing. And I do feel like anyone can do anything, even if you're not the best at it, because I'm like the prime example. Yeah, no, that was shit.
Yeah, no, it's very, very well explained. So one more question.
Yes.
I get every guest at the end of the podcast to write a question.
Okay.
So you write a question, and I will then ask this question to my next guest. So think of any question you want.
Okay.
And then I'll be asking that to the next guest, and then that will just keep.
That's fun. I like that.
So I got this off. To be fair, I thought of the idea, and then I don't know if you listened to Stephen Bartlett.
I've seen.
So I just remember him saying, I was thinking, this man copied my idea. But I think it's quite a good concept, to be fair. So think of a question.
Oh,
I think you know who the guest's gonna be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So don't try to cater it towards.
No, I'm not.
And don't show me it either. I'm just gonna give it to the guest.
Okay. All right. Did that make sense?
But anyway,